It's all about genetics and culture. DNA, your double helix. We talk philosophy in this video. So it is Tuesday afternoon, I've just hit the gym, sculpted my Greco-Roman physique. We're going to talk philosophy. Where to begin today? This is what I was thinking whilst I was in the gym. I was thinking about Alain de Botton. I was basically thinking about the modern day philosophers and quote-unquote thinkers. De Botton, who else do we have? Pinker, like these types of people, right? I would describe these guys as, I wouldn't even describe them as beta males. I would actually describe them as like sub-beta, the uber beta, right? And you always have to bear in mind when you're listening to somebody's philosophy, that philosophy is an extension of their biology. Your philosophy of life is an extension of your biology, of your culture and your biology, but specifically biology. And this is something that Nietzsche talks about in the essay, The Philosopher as a Type. The Philosopher as a Type. He basically says modern philosophers, for the most part, in his view, their philosophy is mostly born out of weakness. Mostly born out of weakness. So we can see this if we look at certain ideologies as well, like Marxism being the number one. Wokeism is obviously, it's just a different face of the same thing. It's a philosophy of the weak, you know, gang up on the strong, take them down and take their resources. And in the case of wokeism, let's just get as many weird groups together and try and take a shot at, you know, in the case of the USA, let's try and take a shot at the Anglo, see if we can take him down. I mean, it's transparent, it's transparently obvious. It's a human instinct, right? For the weak to take a shot at the strong. Gang up. And philosophers actually, for the most part, fall into that camp. They fall into that camp. So this is this is an important thing to remember with any thinker that you're engaging with. Literally, what is their biology? What kind of biological specimen are they? What's their culture? What kind of culture are they coming out of? The last 70 years since World War II in Western Europe, it's been an increasingly feminized, kind of inhumanized culture, I would say. What's interesting is even the girls are complaining about it. In terms of, I've seen some videos recently of, which have got a lot of views. The overall climate in the West and the kind of this horrific corporate drone culture. Everyone has to conform to this kind of horrific corporate communist, you know, it's not enough, like on LinkedIn, it's not enough to have a fucking job anymore. You can't just have a job, be really good at your job and show up. You've now got to, you know, like bow down and pay homage and allegiance to the values of a fucking egalitarian nonsense, man. Like, just as one more aside before I get back to my main point, there's a guy I used to know back in the day who went on to start a very successful company, extremely successful. He must be a millionaire by now, like, and it's his own company as well. Him and his brother started it. So absolute full kudos to the guy, right? You're thinking this guy's a true Nietzsche, yeah? He's a true emperor, right? He's done everything he should do. He's taken over, and yet, probably partly because he works in the education sector, he's still like on fucking LinkedIn talking his egalitarian bullshit. And I saw something the other day where he goes, yeah, I'm just, you know, in between, he just had a kid, yeah? In between like changing diapers and work. And I'm thinking, is you what? You're changing fucking diapers. You're a fucking millionaire. Get a nanny, minimum, or get a housewife. Get one of the two. fuck me. You build an entire company, like, this is the climate we live in now. Fuck my life. No fucking thank you. Ciao. I'm moving to Algeria. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Can you imagine, like, elites of, like, any other era? In our era, you actually have to work to get into that elite. But, like, can you imagine any fucking other era coming out with bullshit like that? Let's maybe go a different way back home today. Let's go this way. So crossing over the border here, we're now in Republika Srpska. We've just crossed into enemy territory. I got called on a different channel. I got called what was it? A Serbian ultranationalist. It's actually a fairly scary thing to be called. The guy was angry, dude. So anyway, so that's all. The reason this is all connected together is because the fundamental ideologies that permeate in a society, they permeate people's minds without anyone even thinking about it. So my friend, the corpo guy, you know, like he started his own business. He's a complete champion, but he still thinks like a serf, basically. He still thinks like a communist serf. And actually, this is what many philosophers want us to feel like. They want the strong to be humbled. Yeah? They want the strong to act in the service of the weak. And Nietzsche pointed this out in the 1880s. And I have never seen Nietzsche bested. I put him up against everyone. He puts everyone to the sword. All of them. Absolutely all of them to the sword. I think I've read most of his complete works. Like there's some ones that are quite, like, they don't often appear in bookshops and stuff, but you know, and several times as well. The first time you read Genealogy of Morals, you go, holy shit. It's like, the first time you read Genealogy of Morals, for me, was literally like taking ecstasy, because it illuminated so many things that I'd seen in different things. And he basically, this is what he outlines, is moralism is mostly weak people trying to control the strong. That's mostly what it is. The useless trying to control the dynamic, and the mediocre trying to control the elite. And I think that's the worst kind of morality. I think it's the worst kind of morality, because it precludes you. Let's say you are mediocre. Let's say you are. Are you going to ascend to any level of excellence if your modus operandi mentally is, I need to claw down in any way possible, verbally, in any way, I need to claw down the great and the good? Nah, fuck off. That is the way to misery, resentment, and failure. That's the way to misery, resentment, and failure. Yes, we may not make it to the level of Julius Caesar, but we can certainly improve. We can certainly improve. Even on the genetic thing, it's like, well, you can't control your genetics, your genetic level of physicality and intellect and so on. No, you can't. But you can definitely maximize it. You can definitely maximize it. And who knows? You know, you might get, let's say you maximize yourself in all these different ways. Oh, here we are again. I always end up in front of churches. Oh, anyway. Well, let's say you maximize yourself in all these different ways. Yeah? You can then have children who outdo you, who surpass you, who are genetically superior to you. Yeah? Because let's say you've got the brains and you've got the drive, and then you get with a woman who, she's kind of like an uber specimen, right? Then you're going to have the uber babies, right? That's what the footballer Haaland is. He's an uber baby. His dad was like a fairly mediocre, well, I say mediocre, he was obviously amazing because he played in the Premier League, but by that standard, he was an average Premier League player, which is actually fucking unbelievable. But he was considered average in the Premier League. But he married an Olympic athlete. She was like I think she was a triathlete or something, champion of Sweden or some shit, Norway or whatever. And he literally produced an Ubermensch. His son is an Ubermensch, yeah, Haaland. He's genetically engineered, right? What kind of life philosophy do you think Haaland has? I wonder if anyone's ever asked that question. But what kind of life philosophy do you think he has, right? He doesn't need to moralize, man. He knows he is the strong. He is the elite in his field. He's literally like a genetic specimen, right? And he's a mental specimen. And you can cultivate these things. Your DNA you can maximize in a gym, going out running, whatever it is, you know, looks maxing. You know what I'm saying though? You can actually maximize yourself, your genetic intelligence. Well, again, that can be enormously improved with correct information and application. You know, you can be as intelligent as you want, but if you don't have access to good information, your intelligence is essentially moot. You could be the most brilliant person, but if you just, I don't know, if you're not ruthless enough in your pursuit of finding out how the truth in your field, whatever that is, how things actually work, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. So again, there's a massive amount of application there. It's a massive amount of application. You've got big JC here on the shoulder. So yeah, be careful. Be careful with the philosopher, the figure of the philosopher. This is why I go back to the Greeks, because they were an ascendant civilization. They were in touch with their base instincts. They worship strength, beauty, honor, dignity, love, wealth. This is what they aspired to, right? And it has to be said, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God. I can see why Nietzsche took aim at these guys, man. I can see why Nietzsche took aim at these guys. Christianity is largely it's a religion of civility. It's a religion of civility. Most of the Semitic religions are kind of religions of civility. Clearly they get pushed in all sorts of directions, which is why I don't discount them. I really don't. I literally don't at all. I pray, but at the same time, we live in this world, yeah, and I don't see much evidence of the meek running things. You know, I don't see much evidence of the meek inheriting. I just don't. No. And you see this definitely in approach as well with women. Women are obviously biology, right? They're a biological organism. What do they respond to? They don't respond to meekness, timidity, you know. They respond to the commander, right? Or the artist, or whatever, the warrior. These types of archetypes, you know. Or just, you know, there's like the Bond figure, you know. We were talking about Shelby yesterday, and Bond is also a good version of that. I'm more interested in hearing. I'm going to finish on this. There's a guy I know in Sheffield he's from Liverpool. He was a British champion boxer. He fought for the world title. He's older than me. I think he's about 50 odd now, and he's well known because he killed someone in the ring when he won the British title. The guy died, and the guy, to put it mildly, had a hard life before that, and boxing was just like, you know, that was his way out of a dysfunctional, impoverished background. And he's such a fucking cool guy, such a cool guy, really cool guy. And I remember speaking to him when I'd have been about 23. He'd have been about 40. And I hung on this guy's every word. I really listened to what he had to say. Why? Was he Plato? He probably doesn't have a single GCSE. He's a very smart guy, but different background, different time. Right? Was he Aristotle? Was he any of these guys? You get more important perspectives and advice from someone like that than you will Alain de Botton, who sat in his room writing bullshit. Just got no actual experience firsthand of anything. So yeah, it's Evola, isn't it? I don't know much about Evola. He sounds like a bit of a nutter, to be honest with you, but there's one quote of his which I've seen which stands out, which is it's something on the lines of the sword of the warrior has greater wisdom than the pen of the philosopher, something along those lines, right? So the men who are in there, those are the people that I listen to personally. This is who I listen to, the men who are actually in there doing things, right? And the fucking guys sat around, in a tower somewhere, whatever. And I actually think this is why Nietzsche as well. Nietzsche is very valuable because he, he was a soldier in I forget what it was, some Prussian war or some shit. And he was literally like a genius academic. And then he had his afflictions and so on that he died of. But he was the first digital nomad, to be honest. So yeah, he has actually, shall we say, lived, unlike many of these fucking Pinker and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. To me, there's a hubris about someone who's just sat in their room and they think they've got the answers to everything. Fuck off, mate. That's been tried, yeah? We tried it with Marx, yeah? So, I'll leave things there. Hopefully that's been a stimulating one. I was feeling very philosophical today after the workout. I did actually know where I am. This is a new part of Lukovic I've not seen before. What a discovery. So we'll leave things there. Brzezinski.